Welcome to So You Think You Can Write, where we give serious writing critique without taking ourselves too seriously. My name is Lindsay, and with me here today is
Janette, Rallison, Melinda Carroll,
Booher, and this episode is sponsored by Writers Clearinghouse. Visit www.writersch.com for a whole list of their services.
All right. And the way this works is today Melinda is going to read a first page submission. The rest of us are going to act like agents and editors, and if we would stop reading the manuscript at any point, we will hit our buzzers and then we will explain why we would stop.
Okay. Episode 65, The Spectra Unfurled. Kata Sage crept up a steep ridge, desperate for one last glance of the great mountains that had been her home. A chilly wind whipped through the trees, and the long sleeves she'd grown over her arms did little to deflect its bite. Gravel slipped under her bare feet, making tiny rock slides. The unfamiliar trees, the gray winter sky, the land that stretched on without a single mountain in sight, all of it reminded her that from now on, her only home was what she took with her. A voice intruded on her mind. Do you want to talk about it? Brian Pansier could see her thoughts, but he wouldn't understand. No, I don't want to talk about it, she sent back. Somewhere behind, her friends were negotiating passage across the river. Once they crossed, Spritelands would never be her home again. Her brother could only hold the throne if she left, but still she struggled against the desire to slip into the forest and disappear. The scent of rich, moist earth from the forest below hid the familiar smell of pines. Snow heaped in the tree shadows. Snow fell in her home too, but here the cloud cover never lifted. As a sprite, one of the 6 Spectra clans.
I like the description. I like the magic. I just am not anchored in it. I just don't care. You know what I mean? It's like this really nice description. It's just I don't care about this character at this point, or the fact that she's leaving her homeland and all these things. You've got to make me somehow care a little bit more about this scene and this character early enough on. And I know that may be cold-hearted of me that I don't like
Doesn't care about sprites.
sprites.
Homeless sprites. He doesn't care.
I don't care about homeless sprites. Let her wander off in the woods and die. Anyway. I mean, I see some tension. I see some good description. I'm reading it, it's going, so what?
But don't sprites live in the woods?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
All the sprites I've met have.
Oh, okay.
Well, my friends that are sprites live in the woods. They would be totally happy with being out in the forest.
Okay.
Here's
Anyway.
a mountain sprite.
Oh.
A Mountain Dew.
Okay. As a sprite, one of 6 Spectra clans, Kata could survive 3 months without eating, but only if her leaf skin clothes.
All right, that's telling. It's like background, and it's kind of obviously telling background as opposed to sneaking it in a more interesting way.
Mm-hmm. But only if her leaf skin clothes absorbed enough sunlight. The top of the ridge appeared. Kata scrambled over. She hesitated a moment, catching her breath. Then she looked eastward.
Okay. Did I just? Oh, I did on the last thing. Well, my problem with this is that Where were her internal thoughts? Where's her voice? I felt like this was all telling about her, but that I didn't get any, that connection, because I'm not seeing her thoughts. I don't know, is she like, well, I'm off to an adventure, it'll be hard and I'm gonna miss people, but this is really for the best, or is she like, those blankety blank people have ruined my life, and or I don't know, I'm just
Those
not,
ogres took over Spriteland.
right. And Brian Pensier, that seemed like a kind of a random thought thrown in. This kind of made me wonder, is this a second book and we're just trying to remind people of stuff on the first page, or is this an actual standalone? Because I feel like you wouldn't have just thrown that in, like, random person that we know nothing about, but that she's connected to. So this kind of feels more like a recap to me than to like an actual standalone. So and then also we get her brother, and at first I was thinking, is her brother Brian?
Yeah, I wondered that too.
And if so, why is she putting a last name on this guy? And plus, Brian doesn't really seem like a
Sprite's name.
So,
But
I would,
Ektechokim is hard to say.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hard to
so
write that
Brian
down.
is,
Yeah, so I feel like,
Brian.
this is not probably the right time to insert Brian into this, and, you know,
I think one of the things that seems more telling, because as Janette was talking, I was thinking, well, you do get a sense that she's not happy about this and that she's kind of has to leave and that she's kind of mourning the fact that she doesn't want to be, or that she's leaving the Great Mountain. But it is in a very telling way, like, so she looks at the trees and the winter sky and the land, and it says all of it reminds her that from now on, her only home was with it does, you don't need to say remind her. She can look at it and then just say, and then
From
just
now
say,
on,
from now on,
my
her
her
only
only
home
home.
was with what she took with her, and that
Yeah.
that puts you more in her mind than that it reminded her. So
Yeah.
some of those, she felt, it reminded, she saw, she thought, all of those remove you from the viewpoint character. So take out some of those little lines.
And you know, Orson Scott Card talks about, you know, do you believe, do you understand, and do you care, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've given us some things for us to understand and maybe believe in, but truthfully, I don't care. And that's a sign that there's low tension. The only real tension, the sentence, her brother could only hold the throne if she left, but she still struggled against the desire to submit to the force and disappear. So now we've established there is some tension in her family, something to do with the reins of power, and that may be the only nugget on this page where I see some legitimate character-to-character tension. The fact that she's got to cross the plains and live, but she can live for 3 months without anything you've told us, so that's not that much tension, because for the next 3 months I can watch her just walk, you know, so.
So in that sentence though, even that sentence was kind of a problem for me, because you established her brother could only hold the throne if she left, and so
So she's leaving?
yeah, so she struggled with the desire to slip into the forest and disappear. Is that not leaving? Because you kind of
Right.
set those up as two opposite
Yeah.
things, and it sounds like the same thing to me, so I'm not really clear.
Yeah.
I thought that is kind of what she's doing. She's slipping into the forest and disappearing, but maybe I'm not understanding it very.
Yeah.
All right, I think that this does not start in the right spot.
Yeah.
So her leaving, right, if she made a decision to leave, maybe something closer to where that decision is made. 'Cause there's conflict in that. Just leaving voluntarily, that's not conflict. And we want something conflict. And what we also don't have is an exciting hook in the first paragraph, first sentence, to really compel us to read forward. We have a lot of lovely description. I do get a setting. It's fantasy. There's sprites. There's.
you got a setting.
You got a name.
Complains about.
I am. I'm listening to positive things. I'm happy. I know the genre and the setting, and the fact that there's sprites and the 6 Spectra clans gives me a hint of why this is different from other stories. I do have a sense that there's magic in it, so that's good. It's always important to establish that on page 1. But there's still a lot of stuff we don't understand. I mean, just calling it the Sprite Lands, I don't know. You can probably get away with bringing that stuff in, but yeah, I don't care. I don't care about this character because there's nothing personal about her for me to latch onto and be concerned.
And the only real danger is that they got to cross some plain, and they can survive for 3 months as long as there's
Well,
sunshine.
And
Right.
we've all moved, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you're moving. That's
Right, and we
hard.
don't-
You'll get over it.
We don't know that the plane is intrinsically dangerous. It might be a plane. I mean, look at Kansas. There's a lot of planes there. I don't know that that's dangerous and that I would dread. I mean, I would personally dread having to walk through Kansas and the massive miles and miles of wheat fields. But I don't know that everyone's going to be worried. It's like, oh my gosh, Randy is walking through Kansas.
So, yeah, with the conflict, she might feel conflicted. She might be leaving, and she doesn't really want to leave, but she's doing it. That's an emotional conflict, but like Brock said, we're not really rooted emotionally in this character yet. So you can't really start with just that level of conflict, that she's just emotionally conflicted, but she's already made the decision. You need a real conflict that has, if you want to grab the reader, there has to be real conflict. She's getting forced to leave. She's going to figure out how to get back.
And then she has some sort of goal too. If
Yes.
she had some sort of goal, I'm going to start up a new kingdom. I'm going to wipe out the Simpson clan. I'm going to
Yeah.
Slip into the force and start a rebellion against my brother.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to have two things
Yeah.
working against each other.
find Brian because
He's sending you random thoughts.
Yeah.
Brian has to die. No, I was kidding.
Kill
Yeah.
Brian. Yeah, that's the
Yes.
goal.
Well, any sprite named Brian. Brian. My husband's name is Brian. It's a lovely name.
Is he a sprite?
He is
By
not.
chance?
He does hang out in the forest though.
Oh,
So.
yeah. Well, I guess I could start with the voting. I'm going to give this a right, and no offense to all the sprites out there. I love sprites. I really, honestly, at the end of this, I was not hooked. I didn't care about the character. However, the world was interesting. The magic system was interesting, and so I think you have a lot of potential here with this. You've probably, like Randy said, probably started at the wrong spot, and I think it just needs to be rewritten.
I'm also going to give it a right. I feel like it's too low tension, and we're not super grounded in this character yet, and I think we need to have that right away.
Yeah, and I agree also. And again, this is that the writing is all pretty clean, which also made me wonder if this was the first part of a
Yeah.
second book.
It's possible.
And in which case, those sequels they have problems all their own. I feel your pain. But
Which
yeah,
Slayers are you working on?
yeah, still working on number 5. But yeah, I think you've just started in the wrong place, and you need to start in a place where she has a goal that we can wonder about, and then be sure to put us deeply in her mind and give us some of her thoughts and reactions.
Okay, I'm also going to give it a right. But instead of focusing on the negative, which is pretty much or the reason
Sorry.
for giving it a right, I agree with everyone else. I love that this is a sprite and that it's a very different character. I mean, she grew her sleeves, that grew the
That's
long
cool.
sleeves. I mean, that is so cool, and that excites me to, encourages me to read more. I mean, I want to read more because that's very different for me. And then, she also has, the leaf clothing, help her feed her and everything. I mean, so these are great things that they make it stand out against a lot of the novels I've read in the fantasy genre, which is it's a dwarf. And I love dwarves, so all stories should be about dwarves.
And to have death on the
But
perspective,
it's a dwarf, all right?
A
So
dwarf
this-
named Brian, though? I don't know.
I could totally write a story about a dwarf named Brian. But this is a different character. I mean, so it's different, and I love that it's different, and there's magic, and
Yeah.
this is the kind of story that I like to read. We need to know more about the character's struggles and why we should care what happens to her. All right, so that's it. Please leave comments. Tell us
And
if
subscribe.
you agree. And subscribe. All right. And was there something we were going. So we next
News.
month we're going to be doing last page of a
pages.
chapter. So we have 4 submissions. We're going to look at the last page from the first chapter and be judging that. And then the month after that we're going to be doing query letters.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to be doing some of that. What we would like to do is request submissions for nonfiction. First page nonfiction. Please send those in. We'd like to get at least 4 so we can fill out a whole month of recordings on that.
And remember, the first page of nonfiction has to accomplish the same things that the first page of fiction has to accomplish. That's the
Right.
reason we're doing it. You'll be surprised. The writing skills needed to write in both fiction and nonfiction are pretty much the same. You still have to capture the reader. You still have to have a hook. You still have to move it forward. You have to accomplish all those same things, and that's why we're doing that.
Okay. All right, until next time, get ready.
Get set.
Right.
All right, I hope you enjoyed the episode. And don't forget that we have a new sponsor this year. Our friend Ben Grange with Writers Clearinghouse is offering all the prize support for this year. And the winner each month will get a first 10-page manuscript evaluation for free.
Yep, and then the winner of the full year is going to get a full manuscript critique
Wow.
from agents and editors, guys. These are top guys.
That have worked in the industry and really know their stuff. I mean, that's big. Okay, and then you can find out more about Ben Grange and the Writers Clearinghouse at www.writersch, as in clearinghouse, writersclearinghouse.com.